When I was 13, my sister told everyone I swiped our dad's credit card. I got grounded the whole summer without anyone even asking me what happened. 3 days later, my aunt pulled the bank statement and what she saw crushed her perfect daughter image for good. I never thought my own sister's words could trap me in a nightmare. But the moment Chloe accused me of stealing our dad's credit card, my summer vanished, and I was guilty before I could even utter a word. The warm May air, usually a promise of freedom, now felt like a suffocating blanket. My bedroom, once a sanctuary, became a prison, its four walls mocking the sun I could only watch from afar. That summer, I was 13, and it should have been ordinary. I'd planned to spend those months swimming with friends, lost in mystery novels on our porch. Instead, I found myself staring at the same old wallpaper. My older sister, Chloe, for years my senior at 17, was always the golden child. In my parents' eyes, she could do no wrong. Straight A's, animal shelter volunteer, never missed curfew. I used to admire her, back when I was too young to see past the carefully constructed facade. The accusation hit on a Tuesday. Dad, David, was checking his credit card statement online when his face turned crimson. He scrolled through a list of unauthorized charges. Mom, Sarah, stood behind him, hand clamped over her mouth. "Who did this?" David's voice boomed through the house. I'd been making a sandwich, heard the commotion, and walked into the living room to find them both seething. Chloe sat calmly on the couch, her expression a perfect blend of concern. "What's wrong?" The question slipped out before I could process the sudden tension. David spun his laptop to face me. The screen showed purchases from clothing stores, cosmetics websites, food delivery. The total made my stomach drop. Some charges were weeks old. "Would you like to explain these?" His jaw clenched. I genuinely didn't know what they were. Confusion clouded my mind. Chloe cleared her throat softly. "David, I saw her with your wallet last week." I didn't think anything of it, but now. She trailed off, letting the unspoken accusation hang heavy in the air. My head snapped to her. "That's not true. I never touched your wallet." "Lower your voice," Sarah's sharp tone cut through my protest. "We're trying to have a civil conversation." Civil? Nothing about this felt civil. My hands started to shake. They believed her. They actually believed her lie. David slammed his laptop shut, harder than necessary. Sarah crossed her arms, a wall forming between us. "You're grounded for the rest of the summer." His decision was swift, unwavering. No phone, no computer, no leaving the house except for family obligations. But I didn't do anything. Desperation clawed at my voice. "Please, just let me explain." Sarah shook her head, disappointment etched across her face. "We don't want to hear excuses. What you did was steal from your own father. That's unacceptable." Chloe maintained her concerned expression, even reaching out to pat my shoulder in what anyone else might have mistaken for sisterly comfort. I recoiled, earning a sharp look from Sarah. That night, I lay in bed, the scene replaying endlessly. No one had asked for my side. No one questioned why I'd suddenly start making online purchases when I'd never cared for expensive clothes or makeup. The injustice burned in my chest. The truth seemed so obvious to me now. Those charges had been accumulating for weeks. Chloe had been buying things, having them delivered when she knew she'd be home. She'd gotten careless, or David had finally checked his statement. Either way, she needed someone to blame. The next morning, Sarah collected my phone and laptop. She stood in my doorway, hand outstretched. I handed them over without argument. "What was the point?" "Your father and I are very disappointed in you." She pocketed my phone. "We expected better." The words stung. I'd always tried to be a good daughter. One false accusation from Chloe had erased years of good behavior. Summer break was 2 weeks away. Instead of looking forward to it, I dreaded the endless days of confinement. Summer stretched before me like a prison sentence. My friends texted, called, but I couldn't respond. They probably thought I was ignoring them. Eventually, they stopped trying. The last 2 weeks of school were torture. I couldn't explain my distraction. My friends noticed, but I deflected, too ashamed to admit what had happened. Shame, even for something I didn't do, kept me silent. When summer officially began, the isolation became absolute. The first week crawled. I'd wake to Chloe's alarm, listening to her get ready for her plans: animal shelter, shopping with Sarah, beach with friends. Meanwhile, I was trapped, watching life through windows. Sarah brought meals to my room, silent, her disappointment a heavier weight than anger. David avoided me entirely. He'd leave early, return late, spending evenings in his office. The man who used to ruffle my hair now couldn't meet my eyes. Chloe, meanwhile, floated through the house on a cloud of parental approval. She'd hugged David and Sarah, thanking them for handling the difficult situation so well. Sometimes, I'd catch her glancing at me, triumph in her eyes. On day 4 of my confinement, I heard her on the phone in the hallway. Her voice was deliberately loud. "No, she's not allowed to come," Chloe said. "She did something really bad. Stole from our dad." Can you believe it? I never thought my own sister would do something like that. The casual way she spread the lie made my blood boil. She wasn't just content with my punishment, she wanted to destroy my reputation. I pressed my ear to the door, listening. "I know, right? And she's trying to say she didn't do it. Like, the evidence is right there. Some people just can't take responsibility." My hands curled into fists. The injustice threatened to overwhelm me. She'd painted me as the villain, herself as the concerned older sister. People would believe her. Chloe had that effect. Later that evening, I tried to talk to Sarah as she folded laundry. "Can I at least explain what happened? Please." She didn't look up. "We've heard enough excuses. What we need is accountability." How can I be accountable for something I didn't do? Frustration seeped into my tone. That attitude is the problem. Sarah finally met my gaze, and her disappointment cut deeper than any punishment. Until you can admit what you did and show genuine remorse, nothing will change. The circular logic trapped me. They wanted me to confess to a crime I didn't commit, and my refusal only confirmed their belief in my guilt. There was no winning. By the second week, my friends had stopped trying. The silence from my confiscated phone was deafening. I imagined them at the pool without me. Friendships at 13 were fragile, easily broken by unexplained absences. I filled my days with books, seeking escape. Stories offered worlds where justice existed, where innocent people weren't punished. Chloe continued her summer as if nothing had changed, regaling Sarah and David with stories over dinner. I ate in my room, listening to their laughter. The contrast between her freedom and my imprisonment was stark. One afternoon, I overheard Sarah and David talking in the kitchen. "Do you think we were too harsh?" David's question surprised me. "She stole from you," Sarah retorted, defensive. "What were we supposed to do?" I know, but she seemed genuinely confused when we confronted her. Doubt, subtle but present, crept into David's voice. "Kids are good liars. Our other daughter saw her with your wallet. The charges are right there. Sometimes the evidence is exactly what it looks like." Sarah shut down his uncertainty. My brief hope died. Sarah had convinced herself of my guilt so thoroughly, she couldn't entertain alternatives. Chloe's word outweighed any defense I could offer. The isolation started affecting me deeply. Sleep became difficult. My mind raced with injustice and betrayal. I'd lie awake, replaying the confrontation. What could I have said differently? How could I have made them believe me? Chloe seemed to sense my deteriorating state. She'd walk past my open door wearing new clothes, outfits that must have been among the items she'd ordered. The audacity stunned me. She was literally parading around in the evidence of her crime. I'd noticed some new clothes lately, but she'd claimed allowance or hand-me-downs. 3 weeks after my world imploded, Aunt Carol came to visit. She was Sarah's younger sister, practical, sharp-eyed, and unlike my parents, she asked questions before forming opinions. Carol arrived unannounced, finding me in the kitchen, staring at soggy cereal. "You look miserable," she observed, setting her purse down. "That's one way to put it." She pulled out a chair, studying me. Carol was perceptive, seeing through facades. I wondered what she saw now. "Where's your sister?" Carol asked during lunch, noticing my flat, lifeless demeanor. "In her room." She studied me. "You don't look like someone who stole from her father." Hope flickered. Nobody asked what I thought happened. "Well, I'm asking now." She leaned forward, giving me her full attention. Sarah interjected, "Carol, we've dealt with this. No need to drag it out." "Humor me," Carol said, not breaking eye contact. "What's your version?" The story poured out. I explained I'd never touched David's wallet, never made online purchases, didn't even know his credit card info. Chloe had lied. Carol listened without interruption. When I finished, she turned to Sarah. "Did you actually verify any of this before punishing her?" Sarah's forehead creased. "What do you mean?" "The charges are right there." "I mean, did you check where the purchases were made from? What devices were used? Anything beyond just assuming?" Carol's tone sharpened. "Credit card companies track that. Every online transaction leaves a digital trail." David had entered the kitchen mid-exchange. He frowned at Carol's suggestion, but something shifted in his expression, doubt, or maybe the first stirrings of guilt. "I'll call the credit card company." He left without another word. The next 2 hours passed in excruciating silence. Carol stayed, nursing coffee, making small talk. Sarah kept glancing toward David's office, worry replacing her earlier certainty. I barely dared to breathe, terrified Hope might jinx whatever David was discovering. When David finally emerged, his face was pale. He held printed pages, his eyes wouldn't meet mine. The charges were made from Chloe's phone. All of them. Sarah's coffee cup clattered. "That can't be right." "I had them verify twice," David said, setting down the papers. Rows of transactions, dates, times, device identifiers. They showed me how to match the device ID to our family plan. It's definitely her phone. Carol stood up smoothly. "Should we call Chloe down here?" Nobody moved. The weight of their mistake hung in the air. My parents had condemned me without evidence, believed a lie without question, and now the truth stared them in the face. "I'll get her." Sarah's voice had lost all conviction. Chloe descended, smiling, until she saw the papers. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second. "What's going on?" she asked David, probably sensing he'd be easier to manipulate. David slid the papers across the table. "The credit card company sent me the purchase details. Every single charge was made from your phone." The color drained from Chloe's face. She picked up the papers with trembling hands. I watched her mind work, searching for an escape. Someone must have hacked my phone. The lie came quickly, but without her usual confidence. "I didn't make these purchases." Carol laughed, sharp and humorless. "That's your defense? Someone hacked your phone to buy clothes in your size, from your favorite stores, and have them delivered here? I don't know how it happened." Chloe's voice rose. "But I didn't do this." Sarah looked between us, confusion and dawning horror warring on her face. Sweetheart, if you needed money, you could have asked. I didn't do it. Chloe's composure cracked. Why would I steal from David when I have my own allowance? Because your allowance wouldn't cover designer clothes and daily food delivery, Carol cut in. And you knew your parents would believe whatever you told them. The accusation hung. Chloe's eyes welled with tears, the waterworks she always used to get her way. But this time, even Sarah seemed hesitant to offer immediate comfort. I watched Chloe's performance, recognizing every calculated gesture, the trembling lip, the wide, innocent eyes, the way she twisted her hands. She perfected this routine over years. Part of me wondered if it would work now. These charges go back almost 2 months, David's voice was hollow. The first one was made on March 28th. A clothing purchase from that boutique downtown. Chloe's face went even paler. I don't remember. You wore that dress to your friend's party, I said, the memory sharp. The blue one with the white flowers. I complimented you on it, and you said you'd been saving up for months. All eyes turned to me. I hadn't spoken much, content to let the evidence speak. But watching Chloe try to lie awakened something fierce in me. That's right, Sarah whispered. I remember that dress. You said you bought it with your allowance. Chloe opened her mouth, then closed it. The tears still flowed, but they'd lost their power. Everyone could see them for what they were now, manipulation tactics. David cleared his throat. You told us you saw your sister with my wallet. I thought I did. Chloe's tears spilled over. It was dark, and I only saw her for a second. Our hallway has motion sensor lights, Carol interjected, destroying the excuse. They activate automatically. There's no scenario where you'd see something in the dark. Chloe's mouth opened and closed without sound. She looked to Sarah, seeking the unconditional support she'd always received. Sarah's expression had shifted into something I'd never seen before when looking at her older daughter. Why did you blame your sister? The question was barely a whisper. I didn't mean to. Chloe grasped at this new angle. I just panicked when David found the charges and the words came out wrong. You didn't mean to blame me? Anger finally broke through my shock. You sat right there and told them you saw me with the wallet. You watched them ground me for 3 weeks. You didn't mean any of that? Chloe flinched. I was going to tell the truth eventually. The word exploded from me. After I lost all my friends? After I spent the entire summer locked in my room for something you did? That's enough, David's voice carried a weight I'd rarely heard. He looked at Chloe with disappointment. Go to your room. Your mother and I need to discuss this. Chloe stood on shaky legs, tried to catch Sarah's eye, but Sarah had turned away. The golden child climbed the stairs slowly, her perfect image shattered. After she disappeared, David turned to me. I owe you an apology. The words should have felt satisfying. Instead, they just made me tired. You didn't even ask if I did it. You just believed her. The truth settled over the kitchen. David's shoulders sagged. He looked years older. Sarah stared at her hands, unwilling to meet my gaze. We made assumptions, David continued, his voice rough. We should have investigated first. We should have given you a chance to defend yourself. You should have believed me. The words came out harder than I intended, but I didn't regret them. I've never lied to you. I've never stolen anything. But the second Chloe pointed a finger at me, you decided I was guilty. Sarah flinched. That's not fair, is it? I turned to her directly. You took my phone and computer without even listening to my side. You grounded me for the entire summer based on nothing but her word. What part of that sounds fair to you? The silence stretched, filled with all the things we couldn't say. Carol watched, an expression I couldn't quite read. "Your sister has always been reliable," Sarah finally said, her voice lacking conviction. "She's never given us reason to doubt her until now." Carol's interjection was gentle but firm. "And the question you need to ask yourselves is why you were so ready to believe the worst about one daughter while refusing to see any flaws in the other." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "We should have listened to you. We should have investigated before punishing you." "Yeah, agreement seemed easier than forgiveness." "You should have." The weight of their mistake hung in the air. I could see them struggling, trying to reconcile their image of themselves as good parents with the reality of what they'd done. "How do we fix this?" David's question came out plaintive. I didn't have an answer. Some things couldn't be fixed with apologies. The damage went deeper. They'd shown me exactly how much they trusted me. That revelation couldn't be unseen. Carol stood up, collecting her purse. "I'm going to head out. But before I do, I want you both to think about why you immediately believed one daughter over the other without any evidence." The question lingered after she left. My parents sat at the table, heavy with guilt. David eventually retrieved my phone and laptop, returning them with another apology. Sarah suggested we do something together, but I declined. The wound was too fresh. That evening, I heard raised voices from Chloe's room. The sound of my parents confronting their perfect daughter should have brought satisfaction. Instead, I felt hollow. Years of favoritism couldn't be erased by one afternoon of truth. Chloe received her own punishment, grounded for the rest of summer, additional restrictions. She had to get a job to pay back every cent. Her phone was permanently replaced with a basic model. College fund contributions suspended. The punishment fit the crime, but it didn't address the deeper problem. My parents had built a shrine to Chloe's perfection, treating me like an afterthought. One instance of her getting caught didn't erase years of dismissal. School started. The dynamic had shifted. Chloe no longer held her elevated position. She worked part-time, coming home exhausted and resentful. David and Sarah tried to treat us more equally, but it felt forced. My friends had mostly moved on during my isolation. They'd formed new groups, inside jokes I didn't understand. The weeks that should have been filled with memories left me with bitterness. One September afternoon, Chloe caught me alone in the kitchen. She'd lost weight, her face stressed from work. She barely resembled the confident sister I'd known. "I'm sorry." The words came out stiff, rehearsed. "I shouldn't have blamed you." "No, you shouldn't have. I didn't look up from my homework." David and Sarah made me apologize. She admitted this like it somehow absolved her. I knew the obvious nature of her forced contrition made it meaningless. Chloe shifted. "Are you ever going to forgive me?" The question deserved consideration I wasn't ready to give. "You destroyed my summer. You lied to our parents and let them punish me for something you did. You didn't come clean until you got caught. So, no, I don't think I'm going to forgive you anytime soon." She left without another word. In the following weeks, she tried various approaches, small gestures, offers of help. I rejected them all with the same cool indifference she'd shown when watching me get punished. By October, Chloe had paid back about 40%. David showed me the spreadsheet, thinking it would make me feel better. It didn't. Money could be repaid, but trust couldn't be bought back. Sarah started therapy, trying to understand her role. She'd ask if I wanted to join, but I always refused. Her guilt was her own to manage. I had my own healing to focus on. The strangest part was watching Chloe struggle with her fall from grace. She'd built her identity around being the perfect daughter. Without that foundation, she seemed lost. Sometimes I'd catch her staring blankly, her expression vacant. Aunt Carol visited more frequently, taking me out, letting me vent without judgment. Her intervention had saved me from a completely ruined summer. "Your parents love you," Carol told me. "They just forgot how to show it equally. Love shouldn't be conditional on being perfect." "You're absolutely right," Carol nodded. "And they're learning that now, even if it's later than it should have been." Christmas that year was awkward. Chloe had paid off her debt, working double shifts. She'd lost her senior year, missing dances and games. Part of me felt vindicated. Another part recognized the waste. "I need to apologize again," Chloe approached me on Christmas Eve. "Really apologize. Not because David and Sarah are making me." I sat down my book, giving her my attention. "What I did was unforgivable." She sat on the edge of my bed. "I stole from David, then blamed you. I watched you suffer and did nothing. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to know I understand how horrible it was." The apology sounded genuine this time. "Why did you do it?" She was quiet for a long moment. "I wanted things I couldn't afford, and I thought I could get away with it. When David found the charges, I panicked. You were there, and it was easy to shift blame. I didn't think about what it would do to you. I only thought about protecting myself." That's honest, at least. The admission didn't heal anything, but it provided clarity. "I know I ruined things between us," Chloe's voice cracked. "But if there's ever a chance to fix it, I want to try. Even if it takes years, maybe eventually." The non-commitment was the best I could offer. "But not now." "Not yet." She nodded and left. The conversation marked a shift, subtle but present. Chloe had finally acknowledged the full weight of her actions without minimizing. High school continued. Chloe graduated, went to State University instead of the private college she'd planned. Her transcripts were excellent, but recommendations had mysteriously dried up. Reputations followed people. I rebuilt friendships slowly, learning to trust again. The experience taught me appearances could be deceiving, and favoritism poisoned relationships. David and Sarah's love came with conditions I hadn't recognized, changing how I interacted with them. Years later, Chloe and I developed a functional relationship, not close, but civil. She carved out a life that didn't rely on being perfect. And I learned forgiveness could be partial without being false. Some wounds healed, others left permanent scars. But that summer, when I was 13, locked in my room while the sun mocked me, I learned the most valuable lesson of my young life: trust is earned, not given. Love should be unconditional. And sometimes the people who should protect you are the ones who hurt you most. The credit card statement Aunt Carol demanded became the turning point. One piece of paper shattered years of carefully maintained fiction. Chloe's perfect image crumbled, and in its place emerged someone more human, but far less admirable. My parents never fully recovered their easy confidence in their parenting choices. They questioned themselves more, sought second opinions, tried to treat us both with equal consideration. The effort counted for something, even if it couldn't erase what had happened. The story spread through our extended family. Relatives who'd held Chloe up as an example stopped. Her pedestal remained empty, a reminder that perfection was always an illusion. I graduated high school 3 years later and chose a college across the country. Distance helped me process everything, figure out who I was beyond the shadow of Chloe's fallen reputation. Phone calls home became brief, protective barriers I maintained for my own peace of mind. Chloe sent occasional messages, apologizing, updating me on her life. I responded politely, but without warmth. Forgiveness remained out of reach, possibly forever. Some betrayals cut too deep. That summer taught me justice sometimes arrives, even when delayed. Truth has a way of surfacing. And the people we think we know best can surprise us in the worst ways. Looking back, I understand the full scope. Chloe's actions weren't just about stealing and lying, they revealed a willingness to sacrifice me to save herself, a fundamental selfishness no apology could fully address. My parents' instant belief in her accusations showed where their trust truly lay. The lesson cost me a summer and several friendships. It cost Chloe far more in the long run. It taught everyone that actions have consequences, truth matters, and family loyalty shouldn't mean blind acceptance of lies. Aunt Carol's intervention changed everything. Without her insistence on checking the actual evidence, I might have served my full sentence while Chloe kept spending. The thought still makes my stomach turn. These days, I'm cautious about trust and quick to question convenient narratives. The experience shaped my worldview, both positively and negatively. I'm more skeptical, but also more resilient. I know I can survive injustice and come out stronger. Chloe works in accounting now, almost comically ironic. She married someone who knew nothing about her past, building a life free from the weight of her reputation. We see each other at major family events, maintain polite conversation. The closeness we might have had never materialized. My relationship with my parents improved, but never fully healed. Some breaks leave permanent cracks, visible reminders of what once fractured. We love each other, but the easy confidence of childhood never returned. The credit card incident became a defining moment for our entire family. A before and after that nobody could ignore. Life split into two distinct periods, when Chloe could do no wrong, and when everyone knew the truth about her capacity for deception. Neither version of our family was whole. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if Aunt Carol hadn't visited that day. Would I have served my full sentence? Would Chloe have eventually confessed, or would she have let me take the fall indefinitely? The questions have no answers. What I know for certain is this, that summer taught me the price of being underestimated and the value of having someone in your corner who asks questions before accepting convenient lies. It showed me that justice isn't always swift, but it can be thorough. And it proved that perfect images always crack eventually, revealing the flawed humans underneath. The girl who got grounded at 13 for crimes she didn't commit learned to stand up for herself, demand evidence before accepting blame, and never let anyone diminish her truth. Those lessons were hard-won and permanently etched into who I became. Chloe lost more than money that summer. She lost her position, her reputation, and any chance at the easy future she'd envisioned. The consequences followed her for years, shaping her path in ways she never anticipated when she pressed purchase on David's credit card. David and Sarah learned that favoritism costs more than they'd imagined, and that their love needed to be distributed more carefully. The wake-up call came at a high price, but it forced necessary changes in how our family operated. As for me, I survived. I found my own path, built my own life, and learned to exist without needing validation from people who'd failed me. The scars remain, but they remind me of my own resilience and the importance of standing firm when accused unjustly. That summer, when I was 13, became the summer that changed everything. The season of injustice eventually gave way to truth, and the girl who was wrongfully punished emerged stronger than anyone expected. Sometimes the worst experiences teach the most valuable lessons, and sometimes family betrayals lead to the most important personal growth. The credit card statement Aunt Carol demanded to see saved me from weeks of undeserved punishment and revealed truths that needed exposing. Without her intervention, the story might have ended very differently. But truth found its way to the surface, as it usually does when someone cares enough to look for it. Years have passed since that May afternoon when my world turned upside down. The memories have faded somewhat, but the lessons remain sharp and clear. Trust must be earned. Truth matters more than convenience. And sometimes the people we love most are the ones who hurt us deepest. The girl who was wrongfully accused at 13 learned to demand justice, question authority, and never accept punishment for crimes she didn't commit. Those lessons shaped everything that came after, building a foundation of strength and skepticism that served her well. Chloe's perfect image never recovered. And maybe that was exactly what needed to happen. What would you have done in my parents' position?